Just as wars create a class of beneficiaries called the war rich, the battle against climate change must create a new class of disaster traders that we might call the climate rich. And if those who invest in the green economy have the right to get profits if they make a good choice and manage their money wisely, it is not acceptable to accumulate wealth by greening polluting funds, after the prevailing practice was laundering drug money and other illegal activities. What happened recently with the Onyx power plant in the Netherlands proves that countries' implementation of their climate commitments will not be easy, and they will need to put in place new laws and legislation that prevent the use of climate measures to achieve fantastic profits in unfair trade. In 2015, the French company Engie built the Onyx coal-fired power plant in Rotterdam, which was promoted at the time as the cleanest and most efficient coal plant in the world. This happened at a time when we often heard the term clean coal, to refer to burning coal in more efficient and less emitting methods. However, experience showed that the cleanest station in the world causes a huge amount of pollution and emissions, with harmful effects on health and the climate together. In addition to the fact that carbon emissions from this plant prevent the Netherlands from fulfilling its climate commitments in time, it contributes greatly to polluting the air and endangering human health and nature. This prompted the Dutch government to take a decision in 2018, only 3 years after the start of operation of the new plant, to stop all coal-fired plants by 2030. This coincided with Germany's announcement of closing its coal-fired power plants in 2038. An obscure American investment company found in these developments a convenient opportunity to buy cheap coal-fired plants in the Netherlands and Germany, including the Onyx plant. Other than the profit from operating, she was looking forward to outrageous compensation profits should she be forced to stop. This was achieved when the Dutch government decided recently to stop the Onyx station in particular, with the aim of achieving a rapid reduction in emissions. The new government coalition in Germany has also announced that the closing date for coal plants will be pushed back by 8 years, from 2038 to 2030. The start was in the Netherlands, where the government agreed to pay an additional $240 million to the investment operating company for the early termination of its operations. It will have to stop production completely within 2 months of the agreement's entry into force, and dismantle the factory within 3 years. The Dutch newspaper, Volkskrant, commented on the agreement that the mysterious American investment company, of unknown ownership, knew that it was a winner on both sides, if it continued to produce coal, and the associated pollution, or was asked to close in exchange for large compensation, due to climate measures. What happened in the Netherlands can be considered an example of what we can expect elsewhere in the world, where coal plants benefit from the current rise in electricity prices, due to reduced gas supplies, and then double their profits as a result of work stoppages. Coal is not the only area in which climate and environmental traders are investing. Restrictions on waste production and treatment in some countries have inspired a class of disaster traders to devise methods for exporting it to other less restrictive countries. This includes hazardous and toxic waste and solid household waste, which international law prohibits from exporting except to countries that have the necessary equipment to properly treat it. To bypass this obstacle, waste traders export it as raw materials to countries in the Third World, where it is dumped untreated. International traders are paid by local traders, operating under the guise of waste processing companies. A senior international official on this file told me that the volume of the illegal international trade in waste may exceed the drug trade. Under the guise of providing clean energy from the sun, some companies are marketing poor quality transmitters that use raw materials extracted by methods that deplete and pollute nature's resources without restrictions, and are manufactured with poor specifications, which makes them inefficient and subject to damage within a short period. This leads to an increase in the waste of resources and pollution with waste, an amount greater than the desired benefit from the production of clean renewable energy. Like mushrooms, fictitious companies chasing after endowments with international funding for projects and programs to protect the environment and address climate change have proliferated, while benefiting from them is limited to a group of merchants and political influencers. Some invoke the concept of a circular economy, which is based on reusing materials and remanufacturing their waste, to reduce the importance of rationalizing consumption to reduce the quantity in the first place. Waste, in their misconception, is a wealth that can be invested. This led to the emergence of a new type of waste recycling dealers, who take from them only what is light in weight and expensive, and throw away the rest without treatment. The trade in used plastic is evidence of this, as about 400 million tons of it are exported annually to countries that adopt lower standards and provide cheaper labor for manual sorting, noting that huge quantities of the exported plastic are not suitable for recycling. It is necessary to put in place strict legal restrictions that prevent environmental protection measures and addressing climate change from being turned into a means in the hands of opportunity hunters, so that the climate rich dominate at the expense